Hello, everybody. This is Talkative Carl back again for another movie review. This time we'll be reviewing Horrible Bosses, one of my favorite films. I thoroughly enjoyed it and its sequel. I will be doing a review of the sequel soon. But the first movie stars Jason Bateman, Charlie Day, Jason Sudeikis, uh, Kevin Spacey, uh, Jennifer Aniston, Colin Farrell, Jamie Foxx. I think I mentioned Jamie Foxx already. So, a pretty good star-studded cast. And you talking about like comedian timing from all these people is just like phenomenal. So the movie pretty much, this is full spoilers by the way, but the movie is pretty much about these three guys. It's like, I want to say goofballs, but it's like the modern day Three Stooges between these two, minus the slapstick between them. Uh, Jason Bateman's character. Matter of fact, I want to make sure I get the names right. So yeah, Jason Bateman plays Nick Hendricks, an executive at a financial firm who is manipulated into jumping through hoops uh, for a promotion by Kevin Spacey's character Dave Harkin, who's this pretty much like a kind of like a psycho uh, uh, guy, just like probably pretty much like enjoys tormenting. I won't say enjoys tormenting people, but it's like he he fully is aware that Nick wants this promotion while assuming that Harkin will move up to another thing so Nick can replace him. Because, the movie begins right away with Nick just showing up 2 minutes late for his job. And like, a little bit into his shift, he get called in by his boss, and his boss has got like a camera showing like, the timer on it. It's like, you know, you're a punctual guy, Nick. You know what's important. Showing up, at 6 a.m. Now, either you were late or there's something wrong with, the internal clock in our system. And he's like, oh, well, I might be like a little late. It might be like a minute late. Well, no, according to this, you are 2 minutes late. So you're a liar, or I gotta fire, our maintenance guy. Or it might have been 2 minutes late. Uh, so it's like, he giving him a shit for over 2 minutes late for coming to work. Now, a lot of bosses, will get on any employee for showing up late for work, but it won't be like 2 minutes late. Usually, they give you like a 5 minute grace. At least my job, allows like a 5 minute grace to show up in late for work, so it won't be like counting against you or anything like that. But the way he's on him about 2 minutes is just like almost like a slave driver kind of boss, like straight up Mr. Spacely, the Jetsons, kind of like on his case. Then he tricks him and like he's pouring like a glass of alcohol, and thinking that he was gonna drink some with him. He's like, no, like, here, you drink some. It's like, Mr. Harkin, I only okayed the drink because I thought you was gonna have some. Oh, so you so if I like blah blah blah, would you blah blah blah? It's like, so like, like is that what a VP would say, kind of situation? So, in Nick's eyes, he's giving fresh shit because he's being extra evil because cause I'm gaming for that promotion kind of situation. That's what he tells his friends. So he has to drink the entire, glass, like almost like this big, full of alcohol. So he just had to chugs that thing down. uh, then you got Charlie Day's character, Dale Arbus, who's like a dental assistant to his boss, played by Jennifer Aniston, Dr. Julia Harris, aka to him, an evil crazy bitch, DDS. And this woman is pretty much like a sex fiend, and she's really trying to get her hooks into Dale because he has a fiance, doesn't want to cheat, he loves her, and he's rebuffing her as almost every day because she's harping on him. It's like, and then she just like won't let it go. And despite his venting to his friends, they're like, well, you're not gonna get any sympathy from us. It's like, and then like Jason Deckard's character is like, why don't you just fuck her and get it over with? And it's like, because I love my wife, I'm marrying her. I don't want to cheat on my future wife. Yeah, you got a good point. Yeah, because she's pretty much sexually harassing him. And it's like, not pretty much. She's definitely sexually harassing him. Then you got Jason Deckard's character is Kurt Buckman, who's an account manager to this chemical company, who, by the way, his original boss, played by Keither, it was Donald Sutherland. Yeah, Donald Sutherland. But he had a heart attack, so his like inept drug addicted son, played by Colin Farrell, Bobby Pellet, who just do whatever he can to like squeeze every drop of money he can out of his company, even like endangering people's lives in the process, and bringing like his masseuse / prostitutes or something like into work and replacing people at their desk, so you can have hot people there to fool around with, kind of situation. So they throw in the notion like, why don't we just like quit our jobs? And it's like, well, Nick doesn't want to start from the bottom on up again. No one wants to do that. And Dale, since like prior to this movie, he had a history where like he got drunk in a bar. It was late at night. He went out, to pee outside. I don't know why he didn't just pee inside in the bathroom inside the bar, but it was a playground. He took a pee in a playground. It was late at night. Then cops rolled in, and assuming he's some kind of like a sex offender. He didn't go to jail, but he's on the registered sex offender list. So because of that record, only Julia was allowing him to, only ones willing to hire him, so he doesn't have to go through that again. So he feel like he's stuck. But then, of course, Kurt feeling like, oh well, why would I give a crap about this job if like my former boss's son doesn't care? But then they meet up with some old college buddy who was part of like a big firm until it went under. Then now he's like doing servicing dudes in like bars and stuff like that for money, and living with his sister or something like that. It was like really pathetic, and like you're like, holy crap, it's hilarious. But then you start naming a list of weird things he's willing to do, all three of them, like just to score some cash. And then like a bartender like in the back's like, hey, what I tell you, man, no handies in my establishment, man. And it's like, then it's like later that night, they just still like eating and just, drinking their sorrows away. And then they, toy with the notion of like daydream of which ways to kill their bosses. there's one fantasy Nick had, where he just literally threw Harkin out the window because earlier that day, he comes in late himself, even more late, like at least I don't know, it was like an hour late, almost maybe, but it's like, and he's muttering to himself like, "Wow, this dude give me crap for 2 minutes late, and he's like almost like an hour late." And then that's when like he expecting announcement of the next promotion, and then all of a sudden like Harkin just insert himself into the role instead, just like just crushing Nick's dreams right there on the spot. And he just daydreams, just tossing Harkin right out the window and getting cheered on by his coworkers. Of course, that didn't happen. But then when they just like, yeah, you think about that too? It's like, and like, Dale's like, oh, I think that's kind of sick. This is way to blow off steam. And then, because like they list like they different things that they, each their bosses kind of did was like really effed up. Like Nick's, grandmother died and he couldn't make it to the funeral because his boss wouldn't let him go. And then Dale's boss is like ruin his potential merits, and that's obviously wrong. But then the next day, things are starting to get a little worse for each one of them by those bosses. Nick's boss getting in his face, pretty much something like, "I own your sorry ass" kind of situation. And then laughing in his face because, about the nickname he had for his grandmother called Gam Gam. He just laughing in his face. It's like, just completely disregards him as like a human being with a life outside of the job. Then Kurt, coming back from the boss that he likes funeral, and then his son Bobby didn't bother to go. He's literally at the job and counting like, "You're over an hour late. Where you been?" Like, "I was at your father's funeral. Where were you?" It's like, that might have fly when my father was here, but I'm the boss now. If your father was alive, that excuse wouldn't make any sense. And then it's like, then he started going off like, like all the money they put in just to dispose of chemicals safely and responsibly. It costs a lot of money to do so, but that's what Pellet Senior wanted to do, because he doesn't want to be that, like he doesn't want to pretty much like corrupt his business kind of thing. He doesn't want to be some kind of a miser or anything like that. But of course, Pellet Jr. doesn't give a crap. Like, he found somebody who'll do it like half the price, but they'll dispose of it irresponsibly, which will endanger like a suburb full of Bolivian people. And it's like, and he didn't, like, Pellet Jr. just like disregards all, like, "Oh, cry me a fucking river, like I give a fuck about some local tribesmen." And Kurt was like, "They're not tribesmen. It's a modern society." It's like, and then he started going. Pellet Jr. started going off like, "Well, we're gonna start to trim the fat around here." "What do you mean about trim the fat? I want you to fire the fat people." And let's start with Large Marge. Like, Marge is not fat; she's pregnant. Oh, well, fire Professor Xavier. And you see like a guy in a wheelchair, and that part always cracked me up whenever I see it. That was like it wasn't a trailer of this movie, but it was that. I knew I didn't see this movie in the theater, unfortunately. But I don't think I had the money to go to the theater, like, back then. But man, I saw that cracked me the heck up, because like it's just like spot on timing, and just like it's like, I'm not gonna fire anybody. Oh, like, you're not gonna fire anybody? It's like, and then Kurt just just put it out there. It's like, it's not like you care about this company at all. Like no shit, I don't care about this company. Like, this is like the ATM to me. You think like I was a kid, I dreamed about running a chemical company? No, I dreamed about being on a I was dreaming about being on a beach with a hot lady serving me tropical drinks. That's what I dream. Uh, so like I'm just gonna squeeze every bit of money I can out of this place before it goes under. Uh, so either like fire Fetty or fight a cripple. Excuse my language. I'm sorry, but that's the words we use. Or I'll fire all three of you. Either one of you lose the job, or three of you lose the job. So he doesn't want to like put out Marjorie because she is pregnant. So like he had no choice but to uh, let go of the man in the wheelchair. And of course, like as soon as like as discreetly as Kurt tried to do it, as much as he is like begrudgingly have to do this, and he's like he doesn't want to lose his job, and he doesn't want to put like a mother and a child on the street or a future child on the street. So it's like the lowest on the total boat, unfortunately, is this guy, and then Pele Jr. comes out and just like completely embarrassed Kurt in front of everybody, and then like the man in the wheelchair just flips Kurt off, and it's like, and then like this little weasel Pele Jr. just like put him on a spot like that to make him look like just like an evil, twisted asshole in front of everybody. And then lastly, Dale and was fiance coming in for like a routine check and everything like that. And him and his boss was like, putting her under on the gas and everything like that. And then she just she's forcing herself on Dale to try to have sex on top of his fiance unconscious body. And it's like, and then Dale's just fed up like, F this, like that's it. I quit. I don't need this. It's like I can find another job, like that's just, and then Julia's like, if you don't fuck me, I'm gonna tell you fuck me. Like she's not gonna believe you. And then she showed her these little pictures she took, when he came in for like a second bicuspid or something like that. So he was unconscious. So she positioned him in certain ways to make it look like he was having sex with her. And like it was like a funny moment right here. It's like, and then Dale's just like, rape. This is rape. This was rapiness. This is what raping is. Like this is rape. It's like, and then she ever asks us like, calm down there, Jodie Foster. Your dick wasn't even hard. That doesn't give me any comfort whatsoever. This movie is so funny, and I enjoyed it thoroughly. I watched it so many times, but it's just funny every time I see it. It's just when you find like a movie that you love thoroughly, you have no qualms of watching it over and over again because it doesn't get tiring to you. But man, then she just put him on the spot and is telling him flat out like, I respect the sanctity of marriage too much to violate it. So you better have sex with me way before the wedding, otherwise I'll be very less ladylike. And so that's when he just later on that night drove straight to his friend's house and said like, all right, fine, let's kill this bitch. Like what bitch? Like, and he explains to them like Julia, took unflattering photos of me of him while like he was unconscious and everything like that. And like then they come up with an idea like, Dale comes up with an idea that we might as well hire a hitman because we're not because like me and my fiance watch a lot of Law and Order, and we realize none of us is not equipped to like handle like a murder without getting caught with leaving like easily leaving evidence around. So we hire a hitman so that way they can professionally do it and there's no links to us. Then he founds a guy, under like, on the internet under the name like Wet Work kind of situation. And then you get like Mr. Fantastic himself, Ian Gifford. You get like, in these horrible bosses films, you get nice little kind of cameos, not from like the stars naming themselves, but just, kind of like, like kind of like SNL in a way where you just like, big celebrities come in with under like, an acting name. So Ian Gafford comes in not as Ian Gafford, but it is like this guy looked like James Bond. He looked straight up like James Bond, no joke. They even mentions that in the scene, and in a motel room, because they don't want this guy knowing where they live. So they meet in the hotel room. He's coming in with a briefcase and everything like that, and it turns out he's some kind of like porn fetish type of servicer, where he pees on guys for money. And as they look at Dale like an idiot, it's like, you mean tell me you didn't because the description is like man looking for other man, kind of something or other. So he conflates that as like, because wet work usually means like assassination in most spy movies. So he's just under that assumption. But like by further details, it just could explain, what it actually is. And like, of course, it was like a funny little moment where it's like, you mean tell me it's like I came all this way and nobody's gonna get peed on? Like, where's the bathroom? And then you hear this dude just releasing all this piss in the toilet, and it was like, and then I think it was Curry was like, oh my god, all that would have been on us. Ugh. So they go down to like the roughest neighborhood they can find, and like go into a bar where they meet up with Jamie Foxx's character, Motherfucker Jones. And it was a nice little moment where it's like they trying to they confuse on like how he got the name Motherfucker Jones, and like, what's his real name? Is like his name is Dean Jones, but I'm not gonna walk around here with no Disney ass name. But then he explains how he got the name Motherfucker, because he when he was a little kid, he went, like the way he describes it is like really hilarious. Like, I went to my mother's bedroom. She was laying there naked, skin glistening. It's like, so I stuck my hand out into her purse and took her money for it was the day's pay. I really fucked her over. That's when I got the name Motherfucker. You should change the name to Motherfucker Overjones to avoid confusion. What's the confusion? Oh god! Every time I think about it, it just cracks me up, man. It's like, oh my god, this is like, you gotta check this movie out, because it's like it's so freaking funny. But like all these actors involved in this is just like spot on, man. Could you believe like the initial cast of this movie would have been like, for Kevin Spacey's character would have been either, before Kevin Spacey was cast, they had like Tom Cruise, Philip Seymour Hoffman, and Jeff Bridges on as like backups, and then like for Dale character they would have gone with Ashton Kutcher until Charlie Day pretty much was chosen as a cast. So yeah, like, can you imagine if they would have gone with any of those dudes? I don't think I would have liked it as much, especially like the Dale character. I think the Dale character is fit perfectly for Charlie Day, and Charlie Day is hilarious actor. It's like he is spot on funny, man. And it's like I have nothing against Ashton Kutcher. He's funny in his own right, but it's just that the Dale character, as the way I guess they had him created for the movie, kind of fits for somebody that looks like Charlie Day. It won't look as on point if they had like someone, because Ashton Kutcher is like a decently handsome man. Doesn't look like not like a slub, but it's like, I don't know. But you compare him to like Charlie Day, it's just like, that's not like something on a role that Ashton Kutcher would fit in. Maybe for Kurt, that would have been more his speed, because like they're fairly tall guys, and but like their styles of comedy is like kind of different, but like not for Dale. But all four of them agreed upon like, okay, they will pay Motherfucker Jones $5,000 for assassinating their bosses. So the next day when they or next evening when they bring over they like a stupid big ass briefcase with like just a stack of $5,000, and it's like looks like it's all here. They didn't bother count. It's like it looks like it's all here, and then and like he flipped it on him in a way where it's like, you know, I'm gonna be your murder consultants. It's like, well, it's not what we agreed to. And it's like, well, the $5,000 is mine, whether you like it or not. They end up paying $5,000 worth of advice, but it's like his advice obviously it wouldn't work in realistic terms. Maybe back in the day, maybe back in like early '90s on into the history, it might have worked. But they pretty much like doing the whole strangers on the train slash, uh, throw mama from the train, which I want to do a review for that on some point in the future. But great Billy Crystal and Danny DeVito movie. But it's pretty much like swapping murders, whereas like it's like no connection to any one of you. So like it's pretty much like one takes like they all takes each other's like different bosses, and you tell them, figure out like their habits, their beverage of choice, who they sleeping with, what they like to eat, all that other stuff. And then like if you pull off right, you don't even have to be there. Yeah, so that way there's no connection and you pretty much got away with it, kind of thing. But the next moment they starting to staking out Pellet Jr.'s house. And then of course in the house, this is mostly to the request of Colin Farrell, who after reading the script and like understanding his character, he chosen what should go in. I'm pulling this light here, it's getting kind of dark. There you go. He chosen like all this random crap, like because his character is like a cocaine addict, so he got a lot of energy. He's just like so like just like a complete, dipshit. So he chosen like the most oddest random crap to put in there. Or you think like a complete douchebag would have. So he got like like a bunch of like stuffed animals, like a stuffed bear. He got a poster of himself, like Bruce Lee with nunchucks, holding it while he's holding it out, kind of stuff. And he's got like on his table in the living room, he got like a tray full of cocaine, literally right there. And he got like all this shag rug, a foosball table. It's just like a bunch of random nonsense. Like something like you see like, not like a hoarder, but it's like just a bunch of crap that he just bought it on like a cocaine bench kind of situation. He just has in his house. Then they end up finding Kurt while Kurt goes in the bathroom and starts sticking like just to mess with him. He started sticking like Pellet Jr.'s toothbrushes up his butt, scratching and scrubbing it and stuff like that, and putting it doesn't look like got any crap on it, but he just just place it back in place in the bathroom. It's like so you can let that dude brush his teeth with like ass covered toothbrush. While Dale and Nick are trying to clean up after they spilled the tray full of cocaine. So it was like they considered it completely half-assed. Then they went to Nick's boss's house where they tried to get intel on him while Dale just sat in the car as lookout. Nick's boss spots Dale in the car. Then I think he grabs hold of something of Dale's that because he has a peanut allergy, turns out. So I'm not sure if like Dale was eating like a candy bar. I can't remember. He grabbed hold of something. He got into like shock. Then he got Dale got like an EpiPen off Harkin, and just jabbed it in his heart right when Harkin's wife comes around the corner, and like he pretty much saving his life, pissing off Nick and Dale. I mean Nick and Kurt, locking them. This is probably the one thing like I did not like out of the film, where they treat like Dale. I mean, of course Dale can do some like like that's the way his character. So he does like some goofy stuff. He's kind of like the Curly Howard of the three, but he's not a complete idiot like Curly is. But he just act off of instinct when he saw a guy dying in front of him. So he just, because he's a good guy, he just acted off of like his good nature and save a man's life, even though they had to kill the dude. I mean, yeah, this is a perfect way to get the out that they need, but just allow him to die. But they pulled off like a very, very childish move where they just locked him out of the car while they sat inside and just discussed what they else, they re-strategized essentially. And then while like Dale's just kicking in the door and it's like, like, oh, and like, let me in on this kind of situation. Like, and then it's like, okay, let's do it so I can get them the fuck on, like, so we can end this night. And it's like, well, don't get mad at him. Like, like, what's with the attitude? It's like, I mean, you have to lock him out of the. That part didn't sit well with me. Like, you don't take a minute to like, understand like, his position. Like, he can't help himself, but like, sorry, there's a kid outside just screaming right outside my window. But yeah, it's like that was the one thing like I probably did not like in that scene. That's probably the one thing I did not care for, the way they acted towards Dale. They treat Dale like really like an idiot, or at least not like an idiot, but treat him like he's a child or something like that. Like come on. Anyway, next they decided to, they know because they got like they got some decent intel on Pellet Jr. and Harkin. Like Harkin's allergic to peanuts, and Pellet is since he's so addicted to cocaine, they decide to like get rat poison to add in there or swap it out or something like that so he can sniff it and poison himself. But then Kurt, since like Dale's responsible for killing Harkin, Nick is responsible for killing Pellet Jr., while Kurt is getting some intel on Julia so he can kill her. Now while he's sticking her house out, the others are monitoring the previous two houses so they can make sure they get their way their opening to place the items in to cause the deaths. So in a way, Kurt's out sitting outside, and you seeing Julia, just like obviously caught wind and he was monitoring her. But skip over to a scene where like Dale's inside Harkin's house, with like a thing of peanuts and like I don't know, body wash or lotion or something like that probably belongs to Harkins. And he's calling Nick, and Nick's sitting there out there monitoring Pellet's house, and they sitting there talking like, I don't think I could do it, man. I know you hate your boss, but I can't kill this man. And it's like, I can't kill anybody. And it's like, and Nick is like, yeah, I can't even do it either, man. It's like, then, because little did they know, because last time they visited Harkin's house, they dropped the phone that belonged to Pellet Jr. that they got off of his house. They dropped it while like they scurrying out the house to catch up with Dale after the whole anaphylactic shock situation. Harkin found it because he always been like suspicious of his wife cheating on him and stuff like that. He tracks down the owner of the phone, the address. He drives there while Nick is like across the street, just hitting right, seeing like oh my god, my boss is right here. Rings the doorbell. Pellet comes out, and then Harkins just straight up like shoots him on the spot like 2 or 3 times. And then goes back to his car and drives off, while Nick just peels away, freaking out, and the camera, like like a street camera, captures him like doing this like crazy faces, like he was so scared. It was so hilarious. But they all like call up Kurt so they can meet back at the bar, and they tell Kurt like what happened, and it's like like and then the Kurt's like, well, what's the big deal? Like, we was gonna plan to kill those guys anyway. But it's like they was like, I don't think we would have gone through it, man. And it's like, would you really have gone through killing Julia? Well, I was like, well, it's hard to kill her. I'm thinking about killing her now. What do you mean now? Did you sleep with her? I was like, well, it's not my fault, man. Because like you see, like you go back to the scene where he's monitoring Julia's house. She's like got the windows open, seductively undressing, and then she takes out 3 peanut-shaped foods like a hot dog, popsicle, and a banana, and eating all seductively in weird order and stuff like that. So she opens the front door and just kind of entices Kurt to come in, so he in there and has sex with her. And it's like, oh my God, now you definitely gonna be incriminated if like you try to do anything to her now. But then like Kurt got an idea. Well, we'll just call it on a payphone. Harker's in jail, Pellet's in hell, Julie got the crazy fucked out of her, and then we all are happy. And then so while they was like about to go to find a payphone, they get picked up by the cops because of Nick's speeding ticket. And then it was right around the time when they found like a body of Pellet, and which they brought all 3 of them into the into an interrogation room together for questioning. Now, I looked this up, and it was like on like the trivia, because I watched this on Amazon Prime, the extended cut, or at least like the unrated cut of these films. On the trivia, it mentions that, and it's true, that if you bring somebody into question, if it's like more than one person, you don't interview them all together. You interview them separately, obviously, because you don't want them to be on the same page, with a story kind of situation. And you try to make sure they, you trip them up or everything like that while they're completely separate, and try to see if they will say a different story. And it was like a cool moment because, you got like 2 good, actors. Like, one guy from The Wire, I can't remember his name. This black, is like big black guy from The Wire. I know he's from The Wire. That's the only thing I see him in other stuff, but that's the one thing I think it really stood out in, like, back in the day. I never watched The Wire, but I knew he was in it. But then you got one of the crap. What's his name? He's a comedian. Shoot. Dang it. What's his name? Ron White. Wendell Pierce from the guy from The Wire. And Ron White is a comedian from the blue comedy comedy guys, like with like Jeff Foxworthy, Bill Engvall, and Larry the Cable Guy. Like like they usually are like partner up when it comes to like comedy tours. I've seen like a couple of comedies with all of them together, at least a couple of them a long time ago. It's pretty doggone funny. Oh my God, man, I'm just realizing Meghan Markle was the FedEx girl. Like, it's like a small little role as a FedEx girl in the beginning of the film when Kurt was being introduced and narrating his part at the beginning of the film. That blows my mind, because like I did not know that was Meghan Markle. Now, that's why I see this stuff repeatedly, because you usually miss some things, but wow, a little more than the more kind of situation. So while these two detectives are interrogating these three. It's like like it was a little like a moment where Kurt was about to like to turn they all of them in, at least like try to like betray them for a second. Dale has his own badass moment where he's like he used all of his intelligence from all those Law and Order episodes, and because the detective said like we're gonna be here for a long night. You're in for a long night, and then Dale like, wait a minute, by saying that we're gonna be here for a long night, you're sitting there. We're under arrest. Are we under arrest? And it's like, no, we just brought you in here for questioning. Then you don't have sufficient evidence to hold us here, and according to the Fifth Amendment, blah blah blah. It was like a nice little line. It's like pursuant to the Fifth Amendment, you don't have sufficient evidence to keep us here. And it's like, yeah, technically is all we need. Gentlemen, we are free, man. Let's go. So before they leave, they, Ron White's character, detective, let them know, it's like, don't get too comfortable out there. Our forensics guys are out scrubbing down the pellet place now, and let me tell you, these guys don't miss shit. And then like Kurt just realized like he got like a shocked expression and go, oh crap. And then you get a little sniffle of him scrubbing, scratching on his butt with that toothbrush of pellets. And it's like, and then like you cut to them like running, like driving fast in the car, and they was like, why'd you stick his whole bathroom up your ass? I didn't know I had DNA in my ass. You're lying. You know you had DNA up your butt. You just like sticking stuff up your ass, you pervert. I was like, we're luring it up, man. It's like, and then they have to go. They chose to go back to motherfucker Jones to try to see if they can give him some more advice and stuff like that. And then it's like, then like motherfucker Jones had to come clean. It's like, I didn't murder anybody. What are you talking about? You say you went through you did a dime for doing some ill shit. Yeah, I did a dime for doing some ill shit. Doesn't mean I killed somebody. Well, you implied it. And it's like, then he admits that he's like he was put in jail for video piracy. And then like early in the movie when they meet him, they thought he had like a gun on him, but it's like he was reaching like crazy for his Palm Pilot, or it's like a sidekick technically. That's so you have the kind of the time frame of this film was made. But he gives them an idea that are the cops, the guy who killed Pellet, are the cops looking for him? And it's like, well, he then suggests like, okay, when you guys wear a wire, get them to confess to the murder, and then you pretty much, they got another, they get him instead of you. And then, so that's what they went to go do, but, they get him to do so, not realizing like, I think Kurt was wearing the wire and he not realizing it. No, not Kurt. I think it was either Nick or Dale. I can't remember which. But one of them had like, one of the two had like, I guess too much chest hair, and it was like the microphone was like getting muffled, so he couldn't hear exactly his confession. While Kurt is in the room banging Harkin's wife. It was, all, realizing that, and then he possibly would have been recorded confessing to, something that he did. So it was like a high speed chase, trying to chase them down to kill them so he can like cover his tracks. And the cops pulled them all over. They all think that he's going to get away with it until luckily, because the microphone they had was useless. But luckily, the OnStar guy, who they spoke with once earlier in the film to get them to the neighborhood to meet motherfucking Jones, luckily he recorded all the conversation before the cops got there of him reconfessing to the murder of Pellet, which which landed Harkins in jail, and the other three avoided jail time altogether. Even if Kurt stuck, a toothbrush up, his own butt, whatever. Then Nick, was put in as a temporary replacement for Harkins while he's working for another boss named Lou. I forgot what the actor's name is. The seaman. Yeah, Bob Newhart. While he was alive at the time. Which Nick realized he's from a sick old fuck, because as like he's introducing himself in the parking lot, he hears some kid, possibly some kind of assistant, some young, like kind of sounds like a guy is maybe like early to mid 20s or something like that. He's like in his trunk of Lou's car. I'm sorry, sir. I'm sorry that your coffee was cold. Please let me out. It's like, sounds like somebody's in your trunk of your car. Why don't we just keep this between us, Nick, huh? And it's like Nick just shows up like one sick old fuck. Then Kurt back happy at his job where Margaret replaced Pellet as head of the chemical company. And it was a funny little moment, and I admit I'd done this myself to one of my cousins, because a long time ago, I think it was way before this movie. It was like, because for all this time he thought she was pregnant, and he's sitting there rubbing her belly like, when does the baby due? What baby? Like, I'm not pregnant. Oh, so this is you I'm just touching. And I was like, that was like an awkward moment, but funny as hell, because the bewildered look on her face, like, what baby? And then Dale tricked Julia into putting advances not only on Dale, but while his old buddy, the one who's servicing guys for money, he paid him to like pretend to be unconscious in the dentist chair and everything like that, while motherfucker Jones is outside filming her sexually harassing him on top of a patient, which, if it gets out, could land her in some serious hot water if he will release if she doesn't back the heck off and leave him alone. So they all, Julia's backing off, Pellet's in hell, and Harkins in jail. So now these three pretty much have like a decently happy ending. And yeah, man, like I said, I freaking love this film. It's a hilarious film. Aside from like a few antics that I had a few misgivings with, like with the way they treating Dale. It's kind of like, they overplay them, their hand with the whole treating Dale like the Curly Howard of the group and kind of situation. But he gets his badass moments here and there throughout the film. But they all got their own little curly moment between the three of them, because they don't like, Nick's obviously supposed to be like the Mo of the group, while Kurt is the Larry. But they all has their own goofy moments here and there. But yeah, I mean, it's like obviously there's some of these issues they have with their bosses could easily be solved by normal means. Like if your boss is sexually harassing you, well, given the fact that how things has long since changed since this movie came out, because this movie came out, this movie was released back in June 30th of 2011. July 8th of 2011 in the United States. So it was 10 years ago. Wow. So yeah, a lot has changed since then. So with so far as like, Me Too and sexual harassment and everything like that. Even for guys, when dealing with like a woman might be sexually harassing them, it would have been taken a whole lot seriously now. I mean, it would have been taken seriously then, but it's just that, the optics wouldn't look on Dale's part, given the fact that it was, like sexual, like he was on the registry and everything like that, and then it's just that it didn't look, the way she orchestrated everything didn't look good on his part, and it's like, it's just that he could have at least found a way to win that case, at least civilly and everything like that, and that way he can be able to like, organize a way to find another job via like the court system and everything like that, because it's like an unhealthy work environment kind of situation. And then with a settlement, he'll definitely can use that while he's like not working there and hopefully trying to look for another job, and just using that settlement money to take care of him and his future wife, so that way he doesn't have to deal with it. That's just for example. It's just that obviously writing wise, it's just like you gotta find your comedic moments and stuff like that, and but it's just that, I mean, at least they touched on the realistic things that they could do, but they just didn't choose to go with that kind of situation. But I do highly recommend this. It's like a very funny film. If you can ignore the whole Kevin Spacey part of it, because despite Kevin Spacey's personal life that we all agree is kind of really fucked up of him, he's still like a good actor, and you enjoy his performance in the film. But besides that, everything about this film is hilarious, spot on. The genius comedy writing is like very well done. So yeah, highly recommend it. I will be doing, once again, like Horrible Bosses 2. Some point next week I will do a review on that, and probably next weekend some point. Leave a comments below. Let me know what you guys think of Horrible Bosses, if you've seen it before, what you like about it, what you disliked, and everything like that. Don't forget to leave a like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff to Talkative Carl on YouTube, Twitch, and Twitter. Follow me on my Patreon. That's www.patreon.com/TalkativeCarl. If you have any ideas for certain films, or like other topics that you think like I should talk about, that I can put on the channel, I would definitely do it and give you a shout out on top of that. So yeah, check all that stuff out, and follow me on my Twitch as well. I do video game walkthroughs. I recently started walkthroughs for Final Fantasy X and Horizon Zero Dawn, so check those out as well, and I will see you guys